Yeah, so we're starting off today's spaces to discuss simulation theory, kind of the whole uh, mythological origin story of man, and kind of everything else that's kind of been popping up on the fringe sci-fi space. So I know Sylvia, we already chatted about. Hold on a second. I think there's a slight echo. Uh,
Is there?
yeah, there's a slight echo from your side.
Oh, I'm not sure I can do anything about that. I
Um,
can mute when I'm not talking.
yeah, let me see if that's better. Yeah, I think that's much better. Cool.
Okay, my apologies. I don't know why it's doing that, honestly.
Yeah, that happens as well. Yeah, but just to pick up from where we left off last time during our conversation, we thought it'd be good to kind of share information on simulation theory and all of the information that we were discussing on the potential that humanity exists in a simulation and there are certain rules within the simulation. But I'll hand it off to you to kind of intro and then pick it up from there.
Would personal intro? Is
Sure,
that what you're asking me for?
sure, yeah, you can do a quick personal intro, and then so please remember to mute when you're done.
Okay, no problem. I'm Sylvia, CEO of Amplified, and just wanted to have this chat with Alan tonight to learn more and kind of grow in the knowledge that I already have.
Yeah, so I think Sylvia, we were discussing before about some of these different themes. One of them being simulation theory or the matrix theory. Another one being kind of aliens, UFOs. Some people don't like the word aliens because they believe that if there were other beings much older than us, then likely we are the aliens. So we can refer to it as aliens, non-human entities, or sometimes it's collectively referred to as UFOs.
Yeah, I think all of the theories that are out there right now, for me, I'd like to kind of get down to the information that I think is the most important at this point and kind of weed out all of the things that are unimportant because there's so much disinformation out there.
Yeah, sure, sure. So to start off with the whole simulation theory and to help people understand why a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that humanity exists in a simulation outside of the current scientific evidence that we have that is very limited. It's not at the point where we can confirm whether or not we live in a simulation, but scientists and physicists believe there's a high probability that we do live in a simulation, but they cannot corroborate it yet due to the level of of science that we and math that we currently have. So that's kind of as far as the simulation theory goes in terms of like scientific empirical evidence. But if you start to dive into this whole UFO and alien themes and the origin story of man. You look into the Anunnaki or the Elohim. These are the first documented references of non-human beings that are much superior than us from pre-ancient Sumerian times. So this is like pre-Egyptian, pre any type of civilization from ancient Greece to ancient China, India, pretty much ancient anything. The Anunnaki were the first kind of documented experiences that man has had with with human civilization, and they are described as beings coming down from above and sky gods. And they tell this story of man that is very similar to many of the other stories that are coming from other religious texts and scriptures. So to corroborate that, if you start to look into some of these other religions and the ancient scriptures and try to kind of align this theory, you see that they all tell the same story of the origin of man in the beginning. And they talk about God's coming down from above, genetically modifying DNA, creating man, and then there's some battle, and then they go on like guiding us for a bit, and then civilization, humanity starts from there, and then if you go to the end of a lot of these religions and the texts, they talk about a similar type of afterlife. They talk about similar type of structure of how you should fundamentally carry yourself. Like good deeds and bad deeds will either bring you towards a more positive outcome in the afterlife or a more negative outcome in the afterlife. Or it talks about karma, very similar to good deeds and bad deeds, where it kind of tracks every single action that you take. Negative actions will, accrue more supposed points for you negatively to potentially bring you down to a lower realm, or positive actions will accrue more positive points. Hold on one second.
No problem. I'm just going to pick up where you left off. I think sort of what started me down the path of I guess enlightenment was the repeat stories in those religious texts, and then the study of ancient architecture, which I feel like is not talked about enough. There's so many existences on our planet currently of structures that engineers look at and cannot reproduce with our current technologies. And I think that's what kind of led me down this path of learning.
Got it. Sorry about that. There was like construction that just scared the crap out of me, and I thought it was like somebody in the house doing something. But it's
Hey,
out.
it scared me too. So
Yeah.
we're
So
right there together.
I'll try to
No, but
navigate
I
around it.
kind of just yeah, I just trying to like filled in that couple of minutes with why I started down this path of learning, which was honestly like the study of architecture and the number of structures around the globe that exist that currently our engineers could not even imagine trying to accomplish. For me, that's really compelling. How were those structures built? Those kinds of things kind of led me to,
Wow, what's
learning,
like an interview?
beyond the religious texts that I studied when I was pretty early in my 20s. I feel like those were the next thing that kind of led me down learning about some of this stuff, because it sort of blows my mind that we have all these structures around the globe that current engineering could not even imagine accomplishing. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I apologize if some random noise starts happening again. But yeah, I agree. I've noticed those things for a while. Never really had like uh, too much experience diving into those things until more recently, trying to understand about the Anunnaki. And if you talk about like this Anunnaki as like the first, ancient civilization or race or alien non-human entity species that was interacting with man, you if you start from there, like things really start to get deep if you dive into it. And by diving into it and trying to understand the whether or not this story is real, because it all seems mythological at one point, it it starts to really really open up your eyes when you look into like this story of the first non-human entity, or these sky gods that come down, and you align their story with those of the Bible, and it tells the same story. The same, like, Hindu scriptures tell the same story, they just use different names. The Bible uses different names, the ancient Sumerian texts use different names, the the Greek scriptures use different names. They're all different names, but they tell the same type of story, which is very, very weird. And
It's not just the same origin story though. It's multiple stories within those religious texts that all match up, right? It's It's the religious texts, the beginning, it's the Great Flood, it's other things in those religious texts that really line up with our historicals. But I mean, I think it's a bit egotistical for us to not believe or for us to believe that we're the first iteration of intelligence on this planet. Honestly, when you look at the age of the planet and things like that, I think any intelligent person would open their mind to think that, other things existed. And even in our universe, I mean, just look at Mars, right? The current theory is that, at some point that planet might have been inhabited and there might have been a massive nuclear explosion or something that happened to the planet that made it, not survivable, right? Now we're looking at trying to repopulate that planet. I think that's like one of the biggest races that's going on right now in technology, right? Is the race to find another worthy planet for us to start seeding so that if something happens with ours, we have a secondary place to start moving humans to. So it's all very interesting to me. And obviously, it started off with a very earnest path, reading a lot of religious texts and mythology and all of those kinds of things. And then no, just really general awareness of things around me that seem, out of place for our current society. So I'm really interested to hear more.
Yeah, I think the age of the internet and AI and information makes everything a lot easier as well. You don't need to like run through a different part of the library and pull out like five different books and then flip through hundreds to thousands of pages to find another piece of information that you're looking for specifically. You can just search for it and then reference, cross check to see if it's uh, relatable, if it's accurate, if there's anything that you think doesn't make sense, or just overall, this new age of digital information has made it a lot easier for people to connect the dots. And then, like you mentioned, the man's origin myth is not the only thing that is the same. And it's pretty much the entire story is relatively the same from like ancient civilization from the beginning to end that's documented by all of the civilizations and all of the religious texts. But if you go to the religious texts and you go towards the end, if you move on just from the story, all of the religious texts describe a very, very similar type of afterlife, a very, very similar type of structure on how the religion requires its, I guess, believers and people that adopt the religion to follow. So it's like the same type of principles in there as
Right,
well. And then if you move on from there, I started to search for the term matrix and try to find any type of words that related to the word matrix, and it shows up in all of the religions. And
right,
it's described in different ways. It's either described as some type of illusion or fake reality that we're living in, or it's kind
right,
of described as some type of forever repeating cycle that you can't break out of. But the unifying term is like you can't break out of it. Your goal is to break out of it. You, it's designed so that it's extremely difficult to break out of. And what you
right.
need to do to break out of it is kind of like follow these particular steps. So,
Right, guidelines, sort of like the ascension in most religions, like the afterlife and what you're trying to get to. Are, when you're talking about that, are those the rules, like what our religious texts kind of tell us to follow? Because I feel that every religion has that, right? Every human that has a religion might not be aware of how close all the religious texts really are because they're more focused on their religion than any other religion. And a lot of times it's sort of a closed mindedness because they're raised in that religion. So they don't really study outside of that religion, what other religions believe. So it's interesting to see if more people will awaken to these theories and start changing the way that they live their lives.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that. The religious scriptures, from my understanding, it's exactly like you said. It's a guidebook on how to navigate and conduct yourself within the simulation, within the matrix. Because if you don't follow those rules, then like um, after the this playthrough of the game ends, you may end up in like a more difficult level, or potentially a better, easier level. So how the religions have it structured, and all of them talk about different planes or different realms, or if you want to refer to it in scientific terms, different dimensions. You can travel to different dimensions if you have the capability, but most in our dimension or in our realm, in humanity realm, don't have the capability to travel because we aren't too spiritually connected to.
Yeah, we're too close minded. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the problem a lot of times with humans and being able to open up to information like this. They're closed minded, or they're not willing to accept that that's what's happening, right? So the first step is getting more people to take notice of the points that you've already made. Like, go outside of your religion, look at some other religious texts, open your mind to see that all of those religious texts align that way. That's like a very first step for anybody like trying to discover this information, honestly, because we're not raised that way. We're raised very singular minded when it comes to our religions and our morals and ethics. We're raised by our parents, and if our parents were a specific religion, we continue to follow that religion. I would say I'm an outlier because when I was very young, I decided that it would, be beneficial to me to experience other religions. And I was probably 11 years old when I told my dad, who took me to church every Sunday but didn't go himself because he was playing golf, um, would take me to church. And then around 11, I was like, I want to go to Catholic church for the next 6 months. And I think I was, you know, my dad is probably one of the most strict people I've ever known in my life, um, as far as his rigidity and his belief system. But he was super open minded to let me do that. And I went to Catholic church, Protestant church, Episcopal church, like any church that I had a growing interest in, I went and experienced it for 6 months. And I did that from the age of 11 to 14. And I think it really changed the way that I looked at a lot of things in the world because I was so eager for that knowledge at such a young age. And I don't, think that many people follow a path like that. So I think when it comes to those types of subject matters, I've always been much more open minded than a lot of other people because I did something like that at such, you know, that's really your formative years, really. And I wasn't stuck to any one belief system. I really wanted to know about all of the belief systems.
Yeah, so I was similar, and going through all of these different religions when you're younger, it's also very very difficult. The texts are, written in different types of languages. Some of them more sophisticated, some of them more like narrative story like and easier to digest. But more recently, when I got to dive back into them again, and you can kind of easily more you can more easily compare a lot of these different religious texts and scriptures together, just by running different searches and then running different screenshots, saving different information. You can see that they're very very similar in everything. Um, some of them have different ways of wording different things, but at the end of the day, they're all, in my opinion, how I interpret it, they're all a they're all a guidebook for how you should live your life on this planet, and they all point to the same fundamental principles on how you should live your life. Be a good person, and good things will happen to you later. Be a bad person, and bad things will happen to you later. Uh, there is some type of afterlife, or this is not the end. and there are multiple levels to the afterlife or the spiritual world or where your soul goes. There's higher levels, there's lower levels, there's journeys you have to go through within those levels. Uh, at the end of the day, if you conduct yourself the right way, you'll have an easier and more happy time later after this particular life. Or if you don't conduct yourself the right way, you'll have a more negative and more difficult time in the afterlife.
I feel that if you don't believe in some kind of karma by the time you reach the age of 25, you're probably in a lot of trouble spiritually. That's just the truth. And I see people act according to what they believe in, but I think people who do a lot of good for a lot of other people uh, benefit that in huge ways. And I've watched it with tons and tons of people that I know become extremely successful, and all of them really follow that same pattern. Just do good things for others and live a good life and win. You know what I mean? And then you have the polar opposite, of course. You're always going to be fighting against, the good versus evil, because you do see some people that are just not fit also winning sometimes. And it can be a confusion or a distraction for a lot of people. So I love this subject because I think a lot of people could benefit from hearing more of that, you know, hearing more of do good things, do kind things for others.
Yeah, yeah. Let me get into the meat of it then, based off of what we were discussing last time. We'll speed it up a little
Fantastic.
bit. Uh,
Okay.
so at least that I've come to the conclusion based off of this information that since all of the religions are saying the same thing, science is pointing in a similar direction, that there's a high probability of there being some type of system that we live in. And if there is some type of system, the system has rules, right? Just like any program has rules. What are these rules? It seems like these rules are written out in a lot of these scriptures. What are some of these underlying rules that are written out in these scriptures? One of the most popular rules that we all know and understand for the most part, I think whether or not you believe in the word karma or not, you believe in some variation of if you do something good, good things will happen to you, or if you do something bad, bad things will happen to you. If you don't believe it, that's a different story, but at least people have heard of these things. And whether or not that you know carries over into this lifetime or carries over into the next lifetime, I can give like an example of that. So let's say you hurt somebody, and it's let's say it's significant enough that this person passes away. This person was 14 years old. The person was supposed to live to 100 years old. So now that is about 86 years of this person's life that you took away, that you impacted. Uh, can you pay back that karmic debt of 86 years in this life? It seems like it will be extremely difficult. But let's say you find a way to pay it back. No, we're not going to go into the details of how exactly to pay it back, but let's say you find a way to pay it
No,
back.
but you see people do it, right? People that go through traumatic experiences and then spend the rest of their life in service to try to make up for the bad thing that they did. Do you think it's achievable? I do.
I
I
think it
think I
depends
think I
because
think
that
if they become awakened enough and they're doing it for the right reasons and focused on the right things, I think they can overcome certain things, right? But I think there's definitely things that you will regret for the rest of your life if you do them. And let's be real, the majority of the population isn't going to participate in things like that anyways,
yeah, but I
not
think
to that extent.
this will help people understand a bit better since these are larger numbers to play with.
Right.
So let's say 86 years you've taken off this person's life. That's not the only person you've affected. You affected their parents, their siblings, their
Your
their
kids.
cousins, if they
Yeah.
yeah, or their friends, their teachers,
Right.
everyone around them. And
Right.
let's just do a rough estimation that for this individual, you affected 86 years of their life. There is an afterlife, so it's not the end all be all. But all of the other lives that you affected, let's say it's 2,000 years total.
Right.
How are
Yeah.
you going to pay back 2,000 years of debt for this one bad action in this life? It will be very, very difficult. This is why a lot
Right.
of the scriptures are outlined and structured in a way where it tells you like don't do these bad things, and you will have bad things happen to you if you do bad things. There is a type of system set up in place to punish you, and the punishment is less so like of a strict just punishment, and more of a learning process. You make a mistake, you have to learn, right? If you do something good, you will be rewarded. You do something bad, you will be punished as a learning experience so that you learn. And there's different levels of karmic debt that have to be paid. Obviously, the more severe ones are the ones that we just discussed that can impact a person's life for a very, very long time. Some of the other things that impact people for very short times have shorter karmic debts. Like, let's say you say something bad and you didn't mean it, but then you apologize for it. It makes up for most of what you've just said. That's just one aspect of the rules of the simulation, karma. There is another aspect. If you believe that we live in a simulation, there's a creator of the simulation. And so far, most of the texts mention that the creator of the simulation, the source, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, um, there are a lot of kind of hints and documentation through text that point to all living beings being one with the the creator or being one with the source, and we're all connected to the source, whether you think we're like a fraction of the source and then we were split off and then we will one day return, or we are just a piece of the source and always connected to the source. At the end of the day, it's kind of the same type of um, philosophy and theory that whatever you experience here, you will bring back. And if if this entire simulation, as people have mentioned in through a lot of documentation and research, that this simulation is designed as a playing ground or a training ground for you to come and learn. So if you are supposed to be here in school to learn, the worst thing you can do is not learn anything and waste time. Uh, this next rule of the simulation and matrix is designed to ensure that you don't waste time, which is kind of summarized as in like chase your passions. If you don't chase your passions, if you don't wholeheartedly go after your dreams, if you don't give 100% and face all of the struggles to go after what you want, struggle will seek you out. So the matrix of the simulation is designed to bring you struggle. So if it's designed to bring you struggle, you might as well seek out struggle on your own terms. Seek out a struggle that
Right.
you want. Struggle out a struggle that will benefit you in this particular life cycle. So whether it's like you wanting to be a content creator, or you wanting to start a family, or you wanting to start a business, whatever it is, if you don't wholeheartedly chase after it and choose the struggles that you want to face, then life or the matrix will bring the struggle to you. It will make you feel horrible or bring you other particular problems. It will try to do something to make you learn things that you need to learn if you aren't going to learn yourself. So this is why you see the people that chase after their dreams, the ones that actually go after what they want. Whether or not they achieve them, they are the ones that continue to progress forward. They are the ones that continue to make change and make a difference. And they are the ones that kind of people all look up to and look after because they were the ones brave enough to, first go after what they want, fall face first, stand back up, go again and again and again. And eventually you see these people that started to look like fools in the beginning start to become successful. You go from laughing at them to kind of having some type of intrigue and admiration to in the future it becomes like much more than that. So that is the probably the most important role that I think people can take away from this. And you see a lot of like motivational speakers talk about this, a lot of successful people talk about this, and a lot of people that are into this whole matrix simulation uh, theory discuss. chase after your passions, go after what you want, seek out a controlled struggle within kind of the boundaries of what you're interested in. If you do this, then you won't have any other types of struggles come to you.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. I think, honestly, what are you doing with your life if you aren't chasing your passions, anyways? But there's some people I guess that will choose the easy route, that ends up being the hardest route because they're not chasing those passions.
Yeah, at the
It's
end of the day,
interesting.
those struggle. If you sit on a couch all the time and let's say smoke weed every single day, and you just eat chips, yeah, in the beginning it might feel good, but
Right,
eventually you'll have other problems. You'll have health problems. You'll get bored. You won't
right.
have any friends to hang out with. You'll want to be able to do things. Let's just say go out for a walk and you can't even do that. Like struggle will seek you out if you don't seek it out yourself. Like you might as well choose more positive struggles than ones that you don't know what they're going to be, right? If you're
Right.
facing struggles while chasing your dream, that's like a learning experience. If you fail, you've learned all of these different things. Let's say you want to start a YouTube channel and then this game shuts down. I know some people have experienced that, but you've learned from that. You should have learned things about like what a game needs to be successful, how to choose a more particular game with longer longevity. And then next time around when you're choosing a different game, you'll have a higher probability of success. Or if you're starting a YouTube channel, you've been working at it for a few years, and then eventually you don't reach the goals that you want to reach. You feel like you're put in a position where you had to seek out another part-time job just to get by, and then now you're working this part-time job just thinking about everything you like that you could have done better. Now you've just
Or that
learned
you
everything.
wish you were doing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that you wish you were doing.
you go back again and do
Yeah.
it, and then you now have reflected on everything. You'll be able to do it better. But if you seek
I've
out
always
the struggle you want, you'll have a better time than having it come to you.
I've always felt extremely sad when someone who really had a dedication just gave up after their first failure, because every entrepreneur, even successful person that I know in my life, failed at some point in their careers, in their in their everyday life, whatever it was. They've experienced great failures. Some of the most successful people that I know have experienced failures that some people wouldn't have even made it through in some aspects. So I find that compelling. And also, maybe for me, that makes me feel a little bit good because I feel like that's what I'm doing in my everyday life. But I wish that for more people, right? And I think I work for that every day, is to try to help others accomplish those types of things for themselves. But you do see people give up after, a singular failure, give up on themselves, give up on their dreams, and it always blows my mind that people go in that direction. But so, so if you're chasing your dreams, you're living a happy and kind life, what other things should we be doing to, properly navigate the end of this game?
Yeah, so the game is designed to reward those that chase after their dreams. So that's one of them. It, if you continue to chase after your dreams, you continue to put yourself in a position of struggle. You will face a controlled struggle, which is what we are talking about. A struggle that at least you would be more willing to accept. Like not let's say
Right.
for content creators, it's you know just creating videos. They're not getting views. They're not making money yet, but at least they're enjoying their time doing it. They're facing that particular struggle. It's not like the struggle of being homeless or being starving or things like that. It's different types of controlled struggle. If you don't chase after your dreams, you don't get a controlled struggle. You just get struggle thrown at you. You're not going to be familiar with the type of struggle, or you may not be happy with that type of struggle. You might as well be experiencing a type of struggle that's related to your passion. So that's the most important thing. If you continue to do it, the matrix will reward you. It depends on each and every individual person how you'll be rewarded. It depends on like your learning curve. If you're learning faster, you're learning slower. But if you don't give up and you continue to move at it, there it will turn around. Like some people, they blow up. They get 1 million subscribers on YouTube within like a year or 2 years, and they're doing well. But then sometimes they take it easy, and it blows right back up in their face, right?
Right.
It's just life telling you that you're not growing and you need to continue to grow. Some people maybe they don't grow fast enough and it just takes them 5 years just to get to 100,000 subscribers, and they're learning
Right.
slow, and they're facing struggle the entire time, but they don't have any type of like eminent implosion type of struggle where people just take an entire break and they try to milk everything after getting big. um, so that's kind of rule number one: just chase after your passions and always be in a constant state of trying to be the best version of yourself while chasing those passions. And you will face a controlled struggle. And over time,
Right.
you will slowly move towards the goal that you want. And this is an independent role of the Matrix. Another independent role of the Matrix is what we were talking about before: karma, good deeds and bad deeds. Just imagine there's a counter on the top of your head, and you're always going to be kind of paying back any debt that you owe. If you do something negative, even though you're doing positive things, there's like different uh, sections of karma or different verticals of karma, many, many different verticals. Each one carries a debt counter to it and a positive like number counter to it. There's also an overall counter that determines where you go. And if you have a negative karmic debt that you need to rebalance out, you can be chasing after your dreams. You can be doing a great job. You could be learning. And you can be achieving what you want in your life. But karma will also come back and smack you in the face and say, like, you got to pay me back. So if you do too many negative things, let's say you keep gossiping behind people's backs, and
Right.
maybe you're still doing well, maybe you're getting sponsors coming in, you're growing your YouTube channel, the game is doing well, you're making money, but karma will come back, and then independent of it can be entirely independent of all of this stuff that you're doing. And an example of that would be like you talk bad about people behind their back, and it turns around that it makes its way around that you were, let's say talking to this particular love interest, and they heard that you were saying these things, and now they're no longer interested in you, and
Right.
it was going really well. Or, it can, if you're tying it into you're chasing your passion, you smack talk a lot of creators behind their back, it turns into a whole bunch of drama on social media, and then you end up getting some type of semi cancellation or full cancellation. Your sponsors all drop you. uh, it is independent, but it doesn't mean that it can't connect with the first rule of chasing after your passion and always be in a constant state of struggle and going after your dreams wholeheartedly. So those are two rules. Karma is independent of kind of chasing after your dreams, and chasing after your dreams is independent of karma. They can overlap, and they may or may not overlap. This is why you can see some people that are successful in their work, but they're bad people. They do a lot of bad things. They have a really, let's say, bad private reputation, but professional reputation. They're they're well liked, and it can come back to bite you, and sometimes it may not. Like we just saw
I
the
mean,
whole
look at what's
doc.
happening to
Yeah,
Doc.
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Like
I
it
mean, he
will come
behaved
back.
badly. Yeah, I mean, he behaved badly. I feel like he was just on one in 2017. Huh?
Yeah.
All the bad things that have happened to him all happened in that same year, but they're like, here it is 7 years later, and yet, everything that's happened over the past few days, that can't be a great experience for him or his family.
Yeah, if I was him, I would have just come out clean then and back in 2017 and just taken it all on the chin.
Gotten it all out on the table at
Yeah,
one
just
time,
get
right?
take the
Right.
full beat down. Don't try to run away from the beat down. If you did something wrong, own up to it, learn, and
Grow.
make your amends, and then pick yourself back up and start again. Otherwise, like if you don't pay back the debt will come back and come try to claim it from you. And that's
Well, there's no. there's no world where I think he didn't make it right with his own family, but I think publicly, like, it put a lot of things at risk. So I feel it's hard to watch, honestly. So it's really hard to watch
Yeah, I'm neutral towards
because,
him. I've never really liked him a lot because I don't really like the whole Doc persona, but I think he's a great content creator. Like I don't dislike him either. But yeah, but hopefully he made it right with his family. But yeah, he
rough.
didn't air out all the dirty laundry when he could have and got it over with. Uh, yeah, then now it's coming back to bite him. But there are other instances where it's kind of different. Where like we were talking privately about how some people in the industry are like doing very well, but they've kind of like stabbed people in the back and done all of these
Wow.
things. Why are they still doing successful? These things are independent of each other. Like
Right,
you can still be doing everything you need to be chasing after your dreams, and rule number one will reward you appropriately, depending on your learning curve and the effort that you're putting in and the amount of struggle that you faced. While rule number two is still playing itself out on its own timeline, and it's coming to get you, or not, or it's coming to reward you.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so those are the two rules: chasing after your dreams and passions wholeheartedly, seeking out
right,
struggle, a controlled struggle on your own terms. And if you don't do that, struggle will seek you out. Or the second rule, independent of rule number one, is karma. You do good things, and good things will happen to you. You do bad things, and bad things will happen to you. I'm still learning about like all of the intricacies of the karma aspect, since it's not just like if you are a good person and all of the good things will happen to you. It's in almost every single way that you conduct yourself has a own way of paying you back. If you help more people, you will be helped. If you are
right,
more generous to more people, you will receive more back, like you will earn more money. And
right,
if you, if you, those are the two ones that I'm most familiar with. So helping people brings you more help. Being more generous gets you um, more money in the future, more wealth. If you are kind and compassionate, then you will receive more love. These types of things, but there's a whole plethora of them, and each one has like a way of what you need to do to earn good karma, or and what happens if you don't earn good karma. The third kind of I would say rule or principle is manifestation. And what I mean by manifestation is your words, your thoughts, your actions. They all carry weight, they all carry energy, they all carry a certain type of frequency. And like the law of attraction, what what you put out will be reflected back at you. And I was talking with an influencer, Goose Wayne, who's relatively large on TikTok for a lot of his viral memes. And he was talking about how he's willing to work super hard, he's willing to do whatever it takes and give up whatever it takes. And, even like, you know, give up a lot of his relationships with friends and family that are drawing it away. He'd be willing to sacrifice that relationship and the time that he has with his friends and family just to be successful. He will dedicate that time to creating content and doing all of these things around content to be successful. And you know what? He became successful. And then his relationships with all his friends and family are now kind of like going downhill, and he regrets it significantly because he he said it out loud, and he may have meant it. Which he was talking about, like he may have meant it, but he didn't really mean it wholeheartedly because he loves his family, he loves his parents, and his parents have been with him every step of the way, and now he regrets it. And his parents aren't in his life anymore, and he doesn't know how to fix it, and he doesn't think it was really worth it. And we were just discussing like how manifestation works. When you say these things, these words have weight, whether or not you believe they do or not.
right.
actions
It's
to
the,
thoughts
the
as well.
right, the energies you put out into the world.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you don't want to lie to yourself either. I think that's maybe not exactly the good way, but you don't need to beat yourself up all the time. You should be trying to stay positive, or at least spin things positively, even if you know they are negative. Like for me, during the worst part of my life, when I was having bad things happen to me over and over and over again in my early 20s, uh, I I didn't see it as a negative thing. I just saw it as, this is the journey that I need to go on. This is what life wants me to learn. So I will learn it. And I will take it on the
Right.
chin and learn it. And this will be a learning experience. This is part of the ladder that I'm climbing. And I will climb it. Instead of just saying, like, life sucks. Why am I being treated like this? Like, I don't deserve this. Or, oh, everyone's being
Why is this
horrible to
happening to
me.
me?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I'm just focused on positive. Like, this is the ladder I'm climbing. I'm gonna climb it. I'll take it on chin. If the ladder gets some more steps added onto it, then I will climb those more steps, and then
Right.
I will get stronger from doing this. And that was like a positive experience for me. But I also before, similar to Goose Way, and I also said the same exact things that he did. I said I'd be willing to be successful. I'd be willing to just dedicate everything and give up everything just to be successful. And I lost a lot of things along the way, similar things that he lost. A lot of friends, a lot of relationship with family, and just being alone a lot. Uh, this is one of the things I wonder about, if a lot of the successful people out there, why they're always alone, is because they believe they have to sacrifice everything to be successful. According to the rule of manifestation, you don't need to sacrifice everything to be successful.
No, but let's face it, sometimes you do need to sacrifice a few people. That's There will
Potentially, you
also
may
be
need to make decisions,
there
but if manifestation
there
really
will be
works,
people there will be people in your life who try to keep you from chasing your dreams. So, and they could be family members, and sometimes it's okay to say no to that.
yeah, I think you can just embrace the the
Yeah,
more
you didn't.
the more enlightened approach would be just to embrace them, take everything that they're saying for
Yeah,
what they
I mean,
mean, accept
you
that
gotta
they love
accept
you,
people.
understand that they may be jealous. It's not their fault. It's something that they're learning to try to overcome. They may not actually mean bad for you, but this is just a almost like a natural type of feeling, and a part of their journey that they haven't learned or they haven't finished yet. If they have finished that journey, they wouldn't be, jealous. It would only be like support and adoration and
Yeah,
love.
of course, but some parts of their journey might be losing that person in their life so that they realize their behavior is not acceptable,
Yeah, yeah,
I I don't know. For me, when you start thinking about those kinds of, ethical things on a personal level, you know, if you're trying to live your best life, do the right thing, you should also surround yourself with people who feed you positive energy as well, and try to help as many of the people with that don't have the positive energy as you can. But you can also allow yourself to get sucked into a situation where you're allowing one person to drain all the energy from you that you could be doing out in the world good.
yeah.
I
I
do
think that's
think,
really
there
important.
there have to be some boundaries on those kinds of things. We can't say that every person in our family is going to be someone who we can save, if they are that negative energy, and you do your best for them, but they won't do anything for themselves. Sometimes it is better to spend that energy on people that you can help rather than people that will never allow it, you know.
Yeah, I definitely
It's interesting.
agree on that. Like one on the most recent tarot card reading I did, there it was saying how I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and I'm low energy because I've been giving my energy, like too much of my energy, away to others. And
Yes.
that's when the cards are saying like you need alone time, you need to recharge. And I
Right.
also agree with what you're saying as well. We're not perfect. If we were perfect, we would be on our way to enlightenment, and we would be like the next Jesus and
Right.
Buddha already. So knowing
Right.
that we're we're not perfect. Like we do what you can do, but eventually, if it's
Right.
causing you negativity, you have your own journey as well. You have your own
Right.
path, and yeah, if you need to cut somebody out of your life because it's impacting your journey too much, like just try to do that in like the most,
A kind way, in
yeah,
the kindest way
as
possible.
positive of a way as possible. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I get people like for me researching into all of these things because the matrix simulation is only one part of it. I've kind of dived
Right.
deep into the whole UFOs. I've come to like a conclusion where I feel confident that I've been able to figure out and connect a lot of these aliens with religious texts, with simulation theory, with a lot of the stories of the Abrahamic and biblical texts, as well as with like the Hindu text. I'm able to piece a lot of this stuff together, and I'm able to understand and make at least confident conclusions and theories where on these topics to the point where people feel uncomfortable. So I try not to talk about them too much anymore, and it gets so uncomfortable to the point where like they curse me off and say all these things. I'm like, okay, like,
I don't know.
well,
I get the feeling that even those types of people do get something leave those conversations thinking about something. Okay, regardless of kind of how they face off with you when you're talking about the subject. I think the overall idea is that you put some free thinking into someone's head who wasn't ready for it, but that doesn't mean they didn't hear what you were saying. And so I think,
like
keep
planting a
doing that.
seed.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, well, I'm not
you
sure I'm
know,
gonna keep pissing people off like to the utmost
well,
extent, but
I don't mean keep forcing it on that person, but keep talking to people because I think there's a lot to be gained by opening people's minds to all of the information that's right in front of them and has been in front of them for a long time, honestly.
yeah, I agree on that, and I'm going to continue to because I think this seems like a lot of the information that's been kept hidden from us. We already know there's a lot of information being hidden from us by the government, and a lot of
You
things
don't even
aren't
have
what
to
they.
try hard. You don't even have to try hard to know that anymore,
Yeah,
you know?
so it's kind of like, well, I'm not going to take what you say as the truth. I'm going to seek out this information on my own, and I'm going to make
Right,
my own conclusion. And if it
right.
aligns with what they're saying, then great. They're maybe not lying to us for once. But most of the time, it doesn't align with what they're saying, and they're hiding a lot of disinformation. It seems like a lot of people have been sucked into this, and a lot of people are slowly starting to come to the realization that things aren't the way that they seem. There's a lot of things that we have been lied to about, just like the whole financial system and how it's kind of
Yeah.
going to hyperinflation for us. Like, how did we get screwed this bad all of a sudden? Well, it's not all of a sudden. They've been doing it to
It
us
isn't. I
for
mean,
like
we've been
like
allowing it
many
for a
many years, but nobody's
yeah,
been
yeah,
looking into it.
forever.
We haven't been
Yeah.
holding these politicians accountable, and it's gotten to the point where it's starting to burst out now. And then now this is starting to make people question everything, like their whole entire trust foundation on the system that is run by the government is starting to fall apart. So now they're looking into and questioning everything else, and slowly the people that are more further along than others are bringing out other topics, and then it's pulling other people in, and this is turning into like a cascading domino type of effect where it's now leading to all of this government whistleblower information on UFOs, to matrix simulation, to angels and demons, on AI, free energy. Terrence Howard's like a free infinite energy. All of this hidden ancient technology and civilization. So we'll see where everything lands. I'm sure there's going to be things that come out that are going to shock people, and I'm sure there's going to be things that come out that were nothing, and we spent some time trying to figure out something that we wasted on, but we won't know, and we can't really take the current regime and authority uh, their word for truth anymore. And I hope more and more people try to self-educate instead of being indoctrinated or programmed by a lot of the what is happening in this system. Because if you start to do that, you'll see a lot of things that will help you connect the dots and make your life easier. Like if you
Yeah,
just Mhm.
seek knowledge instead of getting distracted by all the loud sounds around you. That's it. I mean, we're surrounded by so much garbage information that doesn't matter at the end of the day. Um, and being distracted from what's really important in life.
Yeah,
So we'll
but
see how
basically
it goes.
a lot of this stuff that we're being like I think social media can be used for some good, but there's people that are
Yeah,
using it for bad, like people
right,
that just seek out drama all the time and impressions, um, engagement farming. That's probably not good for your health, right? And it's
right,
designed that way. That's why this it's listed as like a one of the sins. Like so these there's a lot of things that are in our everyday lives that are just like feeding you with negative energy. Things
yeah,
um, like engagement farming and chasing fame on social media, porn, a lot of these kind of like judging people by not their character, but by their color of their skin or their religion or what country they came from, whatever it is. At the end of the day, like we're all people. We all bleed the same bread,
right,
and
right,
if you treat people differently, then you'll get treated differently, and you'll.
right. Absolutely.
But yeah, well, what other topics did you want to talk about? Since we discussed simulation theory on how to navigate the matrix, like chase after your passions and seek out a controlled struggle, or you will have struggle seek you out. And karma, there's good and bad deeds, and then kind of manifestation of thought, word, and actions.
Right.
And anything else you wanted
I
to
mean,
talk about?
I feel like I learned a lot tonight, and I'm excited to learn more. But I think we covered a lot of subject matter tonight.
Sure, sure. Then we can end it off here. I think we're right about the hour mark where we started. So yeah, if there's
Sounds
anything
good.
else that you want to talk about, let me know. We can chat about it at a different time, or if anyone that's listening to the recording has questions, feel free to leave comments, and we'll respond accordingly. But yeah, other than that, thank you a lot for your time, Sylvia, and
Thank you guys for listening.
yeah, we can end it here then. I'm just gonna end the